What's going on, everybody, and welcome back. And I'm not going to ask you to like or subscribe. I'm going to use the reverse psychology method, and I don't even care if you subscribe or not. Honestly, I don't even care if you share the video. No, not at all. So with that said, I want to update you guys, one, on what I'm doing right now currently on my own, just side stuff, and two, how my interview and everything went the last time that I made a video, and three, I don't even remember what three is, but it's actually going to be a surprise for both me and you because I'm hoping I'll remember it by the time I get to it. And so number one, as far as what I'm doing on the side, right now I'm building my wife a website, and so I'm looking at different tech that I want to use. At first I was thinking I wanted to go serverless, and I'm still thinking about that, but just trying to look at what database management system I want to use and everything. A buddy of mine did refer me to try out Mongo Stitch, and so I'm going to be trying that out, or at least looking at it and seeing where it goes. But apart from that, I'm also taking a look at C# and ASP.NET because there's a lot of jobs still out there for it, and I wanted to see how well I could pick it up after learning C. And so C has been torturing me for the last 2 weeks. I think it's been, about 2 weeks during the CS portion of Lambda. And so I was kind of worried whether or not C# would be similar. And although it is similar, it's a lot simpler to me. I think it's more kind of like how TypeScript, or like a mix between TypeScript and JavaScript and C would be. And so for me, I haven't had that big of an issue actually picking it up, and I'm actually enjoying it. And so I think it would have been a lot harder if I came straight from JavaScript to C#. I think I would have had more of a struggle. But because I'm coming from C to C#, it was a lot easier transition, a lot lighter. And so I'm really actually enjoying it. So far, I've only built some small little console games and stuff, and I'm still working and trying to flesh them out and make them bigger and all that. And then I'm going to start moving towards website stuff, but really enjoying it so far. The second thing is, how did my interview go? If you guys remember from the last video that I made, I did talk about an interview that I was having with a company, and so I did not end up getting the job, sadly. I really wanted to work there. They seemed like a really good company, and all the senior engineers that I interviewed with were actually really awesome. They're really nice people and gave me a lot of knowledgeable experience and stuff. And so I did, however, get 5 interviews off of that, which I know it sounds like a lot for a company that I didn't even get the job for, but 5 interviews with senior engineers was a lot of experience, So they ended up asking me questions from a lot of SQLite, or a lot of SQL questions, as well as back-end questions. A lot of their main fixation was on back-end. They had me pull up a project, and I walked through the project with them, and it wasn't just a tour of the project. They asked me specific details, like how did you implement this? How does this work? If you do this, then how are you getting this? They're actually getting information, like to make sure that I know what I'm talking about. So that was it was a little nerve-wracking because I wasn't 100% sure whether I was going to remember how I implemented everything on the project, and on top of that, it was a team project, and so I had to explain how the team implemented some stuff, and a lot of times you tend to break off and one person will do this, another person will do that. So it's good to know if you're going to be presenting a team program or a team project, it's good to be able to explain what your team member was doing, So I think during our labs project, we did a great job of maintaining communication, so that wasn't really that hard for me. On top of that, they did give me feedback at the very end because I asked for it, and then I think after about a week or so, they were able to provide it for me. And so it seems like they liked my main talking points and how I answered questions, the honesty when I told them that I didn't know about a subject, or even letting them know when I was just going to guess about a subject. So it seems like they really appreciated that. The one thing they didn't like from me, however, was how I went about solving algorithm challenges. And so after every interview, I had an algorithm challenge where they would give me something, and so I would pseudocode everything out and tell them what I was planning to do and try to make this as much of a two-way conversation with them as possible before solving, but they felt that a lot of my my methods were more so like too direct, and so I would zero in on a solution and go for that solution without thinking about repercussions or any issues that might come up and stuff like that. So that was what they got from that, which is really great feedback. And so I'm trying to address those as I'm working through all of my future algorithm challenges and things that I'm doing on my own. I'm building this big repo of all these challenges that I'm doing on my own. So really cool stuff. And so, thankfully, I also remembered what my third point was going to be. So, third point is I'm going to be starting a podcast with a friend of mine who actually got me into Lambda. And I don't mean that he actually got me in, but if you guys remember, or if you even watched like the first video or first two videos that I did on this channel, I was talking about going to General Assembly. And so initially that was my thing. I was already accepted, I was ready to go, I was just waiting for the start date, I already signed the leave contract, everything. But my friend was like, if you're gonna be quitting your job, because I saved up for a whole year because part-time wasn't available at the time, and so I saved up for a whole year and learned on my own for that whole year and got as much as I could, and then I joined Lambda, and so I quit my job. And so he's like, if you're gonna be quitting your job and going to a school to learn how to program, then why not go to a really great school that you don't really have to pay for until you get a job, you know? And I was like, you know, it makes sense. So the only thing was that Lambda is a lot longer than most other boot camps, and so I had to, I looked at my wife and I was like, hey, so this and this and this, but it's this long. And my wife looked at me and I thought she was going to slap me. She was like, why aren't you going to the school then? If it sounds great, you like the curriculum, you like everything they cover, you know, and you don't have to pay for it, then why are you going to this other school? So it made a lot of sense, and so that's how I chose Lambda. So because this guy told me how good of a school it was, I decided to go with Lambda, and that's how I ended up here. So I'm going to be doing a podcast with him, and I'm hoping to be able to get a few episodes in first before we start distributing it, just to make sure that we're staying ahead of it. And I want it to be a lot more relaxed and just talking crap more than anything else, you know, not really I don't know how you would teach somebody how to program during a podcast. I don't think that's possible. You can cover a bunch of stuff. I know Wes Boss's podcast has a lot of that stuff, and it's pretty cool, but I don't think I'm going to be doing that. So I'm not really sure where we're going to be going with this, but I think it's going to be a great experience to at least try. Even if we fail, we come up with something cool and put it out there, and if people like it, then they like it. If not, we're still going to be putting it out there. So stay tuned for that. I don't even know what the name is yet for it. I think he's coming up with a name. He actually came up with the name for my channel, so you know it's going to be something stupid. But besides that, thanks again for watching. Don't subscribe, don't share the video, none of that. It's reverse psychology. Don't do it. See you guys next time.